Hi everyone, I'm Russ.
Mark.
And this is a spirited endeavor.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one tonight.
Islay night.
Islay night. Now, I mean, and Islay kind of kicked off this whole thing with us.
Yes.
It was a Lagavulin 16 that led us down this path of evilness. And then every time we go back to Islay, it's always like coming home a little bit.
It's funny how this really has resonated for us. But I love it, man.
I do too. So we're going to do 3 tonight. One of them we've had, or at least we've had something similar to it before, which is the Port Charlotte 10. But this one was bottled in 2007.
Yep.
The one we tried last time was bottled in 2010.
Yeah. Now I have this bottle at home actually. You had the 2010, which is a bit of a different animal. I think that one's not age statement, so this will be a little bit different from what you had previously.
Yeah, no, the 2010 was also a 10.
Oh, it was?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that was such a good whiskey, and in fact, I've got it over here in my decanter.
Yeah.
Because that bottle is now a lamp.
Right. Yes, I forgot about that.
All right, and then we've got the Port Askaig, which is it's 110 proof.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's like almost barrel proof there.
Yeah. Well, none of these is lightweights. This is 50. This one's 55.
Yes, and the this is 56.
Yeah. So none of them's a slouch.
Yeah, you got to help me with the pronunciation. The Ardbeg Uigeadail. Uigeadail.
Oogie.
Yep, and so this one is one that is highly reviewed.
Yeah.
And we have not had this particular one.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to it because everybody speaks very highly of it.
Now, what's interesting is the Port Askaig was the 2018 San Francisco World Spirits Championship gold medal winner, or a gold medal winner.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really curious about that one.
Me too. I've seen it on the shelf a few times, and for whatever reason, as we discussed earlier, I really can't say why I haven't picked it up yet. So I'm looking forward to that one just to see what they bring to the table. Absolutely.
Now that is not a distillery,
right? Which is a bit unique, actually.
Yeah. So, but it is in Islay, and it's selected from casks. We don't know.
Yeah, they don't say who.
They don't say who.
They source whiskey from distillers, and they will bottle it at their own ABV. Maybe they age it beyond what the distiller has done. So it is kind of their own thing, but they don't distill their own. So that's going to be unique by itself.
Well, we know that it has to be aged 4 years to be considered Scotch.
Yep, and it is a single malt, so it's not blended from multiple distilleries. It's all from one. So, yeah, see what it tastes like.
Yeah. We have not tried these yet. We have not done a priming the pump with them.
Yep.
So we're going into this a little cold. So this will be fun.
I think so. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a bit since I had an island.
All right. Well, what do you want to start with?
I would say we'd probably start with the Port Charlotte because I think it's probably going to be the lighter of them.
Okay. And it's probably the one that's most familiar to us.
Also true.
All right.
Now, the neat thing about this distillery as a whole, and Port Charlotte in particular, is that they're very grain aware, meaning that they track what grains are used for their whiskeys, and that's one of the reasons that you'll see years listed on the bottle, 2010, 2011, and so on and so forth, because they're looking at the crop for that year and what it imparts into the whiskey. So this one, I would expect, will be a bit different than the previous in 2011 and so on and so forth.
For sure. And that's one thing I'm finding about Port Charlotte or in Bruichladdich in general is they're really into a craft whiskey.
Yeah.
Every year is going to be a little different, and they don't deny it. In fact, they'll have different batches. They'll give them different numbers. They're saying, you're going to get this once, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. It's probably going to be as good, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, instead of trying to hide the variability that normally occurs with grains and so on and so forth, and barrels for that matter, they have embraced it, and it's really cool. So each bottle of Port Charlotte, or Bruichladdich for that matter, has a code on there where you can go to their website and it'll tell you exactly what went into that bottle.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Where the grain came from, what farm specifically, when it was harvested. I mean, everything down. It's really cool.
It really is. That is something if worth checking out for sure. Yeah.
Welcome back to Islay.
Yeah, you absolutely get the smoke and the peat on this.
Yeah.
The smoke is forward, but it's the peat and the malt. I get a maltiness there.
Yeah.
And that's really forward in this.
Yeah, get a little bit of that barbecue. Nice bit of sweetness to it too.
Yeah. That's got a beautiful, beautiful nose.
Yeah, and of course that malt from the grain, fantastic. Love it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's a little different from the one I've got.
It is. I'm getting like a little lemon peel or something in that, along with the smoke and the peat and the in the barley.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm getting barley in that.
Yeah.
You know, you're picking up those malty notes. But I got like a lemon peel kind of, you know, it's like a citrus note in there, and it's very forward.
Yeah. Well, when you exhale afterwards, you really get that malty nature. Oh man, that's good. And again, none of the Bruichladdich products are color added or chill filtration or anything of that nature. It's about as natural as you're going to get. And if you look at it again, they tend to be pretty pale in color, but the oils are just fantastic, and it definitely clings to the palate. The flavor lingers after the fact, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's like and the color in that's sort of like a honey lemon, like herbal tea kind of. And I'm really getting that citrus note. I mean, that is just amazing.
Yeah, and that's something I don't recall experiencing with the bottle that I've got. So that goes to that variability.
No, and I didn't get that in the 2010 either. So this is, this has its own unique characteristics. And man, is that just tasty.
That's really good. I like the smoke on this one. It's not ashy like some of the other ones. Lafroig in particular, in my experience, tends to be a bit ashy. Although I enjoy it, that is something that stands out. I don't encounter that with a Port Charlotte. I get more peat than smoke with Port Charlotte generally, which I appreciate. I like this one. It's just a good one. Hence, I have a bottle.
Yeah, this is peaty rather than smoky.
Right.
Yeah. It's got some smokiness to it, but that sort of hangs out in the back just a little bit.
Yeah.
And the peat is very forward. The barley notes in that are very forward. And then it's like a honey lemon cough drop.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that doesn't get old.
No, that's pretty amazing.
I really like that.
I do too. Man, another one to put up on our top 10 list.
Well, and we've talked about this before. And we haven't had a Bruichladdich product of any sort, whether it was under Bruichladdich or Port Charlotte, that we disliked. We've enjoyed every one of them.
Yeah, you can almost like feel the passion that they have for this, in all of their products. And I just dig them. I dig what they stand for. When we take our trip to Scotland, this is we're going there.
I think that has to happen.
Yeah, we'll worship at the
at the
at the gates. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, there's a lot of unique history there too. So just being able to see that.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Okay, all right, let's get into the port Askaig.
Cool. You do the honors.
Oh, of course.
So again, non-chill filtered, no color added, so very pale. Really pale, actually. Wow. That's just the slightest tint of yellow to that.
Yeah, there's...
And the oils are just insane.
Yeah, that's about as pale as they come.
Yeah, it really is.
It is just enough not to look like water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
Whoa. Oh. Okay, how do we...
Wow.
That's floral.
Unique.
That is floral.
It really is.
That's like a bouquet of...
Wow. That jumps out of the glass at you.
Yeah,
too.
like spring flowers. I mean...
But for 55%, there is no alcohol in it.
I'm getting no burn on that
And
one
I didn't
whatsoever.
get any on the Port Charlotte either, but this is so just...
Yeah. It's got like a floral sweetness to it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I'm getting like a earthy note, like a
I am too,
like
actually.
barley.
That's what I was kind of
I
trying to
think
sort
it's-
out.
Yeah, and I don't think it's peat that I'm picking up. I think it's malt. That's very
Yeah.
malty.
Like an older malt, like walking into a grain storage area or something like
Yes.
that. And that's
Yeah. That's it.
It's not wow.
Yeah, it's like you walk into like a grain silo,
Right, exactly.
and you get that that little dustiness that
Oh, man.
carries some of the scent of the grain in it.
What a cool nose.
That is very different.
I hope the taste lives up to the nose on this
Well,
one.
let's find out. Yeah, it's a little spicy.
That is not what I expected, though.
I'm not getting a lot of smoke or a lot of peat in that.
I'm picking up on the peat. And I got just a hint of sweetness before the peat hit me.
Yep.
The peat tended to hit on the back end for me, though.
See, now I think that's more malty.
I agree with the spice, though.
Yeah, it's very spicy.
Yeah.
And that's all the way through the through the whole swallow there.
Yeah.
You pick it up in the tip of the tongue and you get it on the back of the throat at the end. But underneath that spiciness, you get some really interesting stuff going on there too. I'm getting a little bit of that floral.
Yeah. Right up front, I tend to get the malt, followed by floral.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting that kind of peaty,
Yeah, a little
earthy nature on
earthiness.
the back
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, it's a very, very earthy.
The second sip's nice, and that might have been me taking a sip of water. But it's zippy. And I think that's barrel spice. I don't know that's ABV necessarily. And that, maybe adding a little water to this one will make it change quite a bit. I might have to
Yeah.
I like the nose on it.
Yeah, that's quite different.
Mhm.
That's a little different than any other Islay that we've had.
Well, I've heard somebody else compare it to Kilhoman, and to a certain extent, I could see that, but it doesn't. I don't know if I'm convinced that's what it is,
I don't think so. I don't think this is like a Kilhoman at all.
because we've had a higher ABV Kilhoman before, and it was not like this. Kilhoman has some really nice fruit notes and floral notes to it, and this they're a little subdued.
I get the floral notes on the nose, but they're not really in the
Right.
palate.
Agreed. And that's
Or at
what I'm
least not
missing.
appreciably. I think it almost has like a leather quality to it.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost has that Wilson's leather.
And I think that to me is what I'm assuming that's part of the peat influence of it, although I could be wrong on that. But I'm picking up that same thing.
Yeah, that's quite tasty. I don't know if that'll be my favorite Islay, but it's definitely a.
Yeah, the weather didn't really do much for me. I was hoping it was going to bring forward some of the sweeter floral notes on the palate. but not there. It's a little sweeter on the back end, but yeah, it's pretty consistent all the way through. It's unique, no doubt. It is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Interesting though. It's certainly not dull.
I can see where that would be award winner to some. That's quite different and tasty and unexpected.
Agreed. It's by comparison though, I think I'd stick with the Port Charlotte over the Port Askaig so far.
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of with you on that.
And I mean, this is just one of their offerings. They have quite a few. So it may be entirely possible that some of the other ones may fit our palates a little bit better.
What's interesting though is that that is 110 proof. So I mean that's pretty stout. So I mean with that amount of alcohol in there, I expect that to be the more flavorful of the.
Right. Well, and you tend to get a lot of the floral notes and some of the sweetness when you have a higher ABV because you get more of those oils. This one that was lacking, and I'm a bit surprised by that.
Yeah, it didn't actually have a long lingering finish to it.
No.
And it's non-chill filtered and no color added, but it plays a lot like something that has been chill filtered.
Agreed. Yeah, I would agree with that. Really, it's unique though. I like the nose on it.
I do too.
Just because it's so different. I just wish the palate kind of followed up on what you're getting.
Yeah, it's very deceptive. I expected, after getting the nose on that, I expected one thing and got something completely different. So, I mean, it's a surprise and not an unpleasant one for sure.
Yeah, I was looking for a little sweetness out of that one, but cool, really interesting. Yeah, definitely going to want to cleanse the palate after that one. Although Ardbeg shouldn't be a slouch.
No, Ardbeg should.
Although this may be a kinder, gentler Ardbeg, who knows? It's all highfalutin since it's sherry cask influence.
Yes. So I expect some fruit notes in that, and dark fruits. And
yeah, I think we're going to get some of those fruit notes that we were looking for.
Look at that color.
Ooh. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that is a dark amber color. That is.
Well, and the only way you generally get that in a Scotch is if it had sherry or some sort of wine influence. A color like that is not uncommon in a bourbon or American whiskey, just because the temperature fluctuations here really cause that color change. Scotch, not so much.
Yeah. No, this one was 55 or 56, 54.2% ABV. So I mean, it's also not a slouch.
So on the nose, I'm curious. I'm picking up some of the same stuff, so I don't know if that's some of that Port Askaig hanging around after the fact, or.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's not as smoky and barbecuey on the nose as compared to like the Anoa or the Wee Beastie.
But I'm not getting the sherry cask on the nose as much as I expected. Yeah. It's not a sherry bomb.
No, it's not.
It's not on the nose.
I'm not getting a lot of fruit on the nose.
No,
I'm getting more peat and a little bit of smoke in there.
It's pretty mild compared to a lot of the other Ardbegs, at least on the nose for me.
Yeah, I expected barbecue and the ham bone, that kind of thing. All right, Slainte.
Yeah, cheers.
Wow. That's
Ardbeg. Yeah, found it.
Yep.
Oh, that's a really interesting combination. Oh, my mouth is watering on that one.
Oh, I know. So I am picking up the sherry influence in that. So you are getting some of the dark fruit in that, along with this peat and the smoke.
The way that plays with the smoke is unreal.
I know, right? It's like smoked cherries or something.
Oh man, my mouth is literally watering over this one. Yeah, smoked cherries.
Smoked cherries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting out of that.
Oh wow.
So it's got the dark fruits, but like they spent some time in a smoker. This is really good.
Oh yeah.
But it's also got that leather note in there too, you know. So I mean, that's the earthiness, the peatiness kind of coming through that barley note or that malty note.
Mm-hmm.
Is the word I'm trying to search for. But my brain is stuck on smoked cherries.
Yeah. Holy cow, that's good. Yeah.
I think he's up on that one.
No kidding. That's tough to describe. I mean, outside of what you've already brought up, smoked cherries fits it perfect.
Yeah. And then again, that leathery note kind of on the, you know, it's like as I'm breathing it in, before I've actually tasted it, I'm getting that leather note into it.
Yeah, Ron says, I know what I'm buying next, and Ron, you'd be a fool not to. It's worth it. It lives up to the hype.
Yeah.
I'm just speechless. It is, so for those who have had Ardbeg, it is Ardbeg. I mean, there's no doubt. On the nose, less so. It tends to be a little subtle on the nose compared to Ardbeg normally. But on the palate, there's no mistaking this for anything but Ardbeg, but that sherry influence. And it's the best possible outcome of that pairing.
Agreed.
You know, sherry doesn't always play well with Islas and the heavily peated stuff, and in this case, it really works nicely.
Yeah, agreed.
Wow.
So what's interesting is, I mean, they're all similarly priced. Mm-hmm. So this one was $70. This one I paid about $70 for it, and this one was like $80, like $84. And they're all similarly priced. They're all ones that prove that you don't have to have something terribly expensive to be completely amazing.
Well, I'll say this much. I mean, the Port Charlotte is worth every bit of that, no doubt. That Ardbeg, yeah, I'd pay 80 for that. Any day. I'd be happy to pay 80 for that. That is, that's not one that you blend or mix or anything like that. That is meant to be sipped neat, and it delivers. Holy cow, does it deliver?
Yeah. I'm curious of what a little water would do to that, but I don't want to sully this experience.
I'll wait till I get lower in the glass because I'm really enjoying what I've got right now.
I know, right?
That's just taking a sip of water every now and then is good enough for me.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
And again, Islas just don't disappoint.
They really don't. I mean, like we were talking about before, I haven't had a bad Isla. Not yet. I mean, at some point I imagine it's going to happen. I've had some that I enjoyed more than others, but I don't think I've ever had a bad one. We've had some Highlands that I would classify as being pretty rough. Trying to be kind here. But Isla's not. I can't say that I have.
Yeah, I kind of like the what they bring to the table, and while all the distillers on the island, you know, come up with some very unique takes on their processes, and they all have visions and everything too. I think there's something about them that's like there's like a kingship there. They
have an identity. There is no doubt about it. Islay distilleries definitely have their own identity. Highland, I think, is such a large region, and it's part of the mainland, so it gets diluted a bit. Islay is an island, obviously, and because of that, getting supplies in and out of and so on and so forth is a bit more difficult, and I don't think you get as much influx, so you don't get that diluting. You know, you don't get as much of the mainland influence into their product as you would in a highland or a lowland or so on and so forth, where everything starts to look the same.
And a lot of them use the products of that island, so they're using the peat and they're using the grains and everything that are grown on Islay.
But I mean, if you look at what we've got here with the Port Charlotte, compare that to the Lagavulin, which is a very different. I mean, Lagavulin is color-added and chill filtered and generally around 43% ABV, and it is a very different whiskey, but there is a similar aspect between the two. Same thing with the Ardbeg versus any of the others. There is a similar kind of line that runs through those whiskeys. Now, that said, I mean, there are some that stray outside the lines. You've got Bunnahabhain, which is an Islay distillery that does non-peated whiskeys, and it's a very unique one. They have one that's a Bunnahabhain 12 is sherry, non-peated, really tasty. You'd never know it was an Islay if you tried it, but
Right.
it is not lacking on flavor. And I think that's the big thing that you get with the Islas is the flavors may vary a little bit from one to the next, but you're never going to be short on flavor. I think that's the biggie with Islay.
Yeah, I agree. They like to be bold, and
Yes.
they like to bring bring something interesting to the party, and I really appreciate that about
Yeah.
them. You know, some of the others, you know, they tried very hard to be their brand, and you know, be consistent. You know, batch after batch after batch. You know, for instance, if you drink a Glenmorangie,
Oh yeah.
you know, no matter what year, whatever, it's going to taste like a Glenmorangie.
Yep.
And I'm not shitting on Glenmorangie at all because
no.
I love
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love Glenmorangie.
Yep.
But when I try something from Islay, it's very unapologetic, and it's very unique, and they're really bringing something amazing to the table. And again, this is like us coming home.
There's a nice sweetness to that.
Yeah.
I like that. I gotta say, I think that's up there with the Port Charlotte. That may actually be a little bit better for me right now than the Port Charlotte is. Now I think it would depend on where I am. You know, your taste changes from days to day, from
Sure.
day to day. What
Absolutely.
you're looking for, that Uigeadail is just stunning.
Yeah, that would also make an amazing lamp.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
All right.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. So
What we got on with us?
so Henry's joined us, and Henry says, "Shut your mouth. There are no bad Islas." I would be inclined to agree with you. Henry says the Port Charlotte he bought was $55. That's a good deal, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Ron's talking about getting the Ardbeg. Again, I don't think you can go wrong there. If you either that or the Port Charlotte, in my opinion. I mean, both Mark and I have
Yeah,
raved about
we're
the
sold
Port
on.
Charlotte.
Yeah, we're sold on either or both.
Yeah. The Uigeadail is a little harder to find, in my experience. Every now and then it shows up at my local store. The Port Charlotte is even harder to find, to be honest with you. But hopefully you come across that Uigeadail because
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get to one of the larger stores.
Yes.
Yeah, you're probably not going to find at the little package stores here and
Little
there.
mom and pop.
Yeah, little mom and pops.
Yeah.
Although they can surprise you, but these I found at either Jack's or Turtle Creek, and they have a big selection.
Yeah. You know, they tend to have some of the more unique ones out there, and not just the staples.
Yeah, they're not afraid to bring in the $500, $600, $800. I saw an $800 whiskey. You know, they're not afraid to bring those in. So, yeah, you need to find one of those in your area.
So Ron is sitting at a bar, ordered an old fashioned, and it's a brandy old fashioned with the wrong cherries though. But sounds like unique experience. So I think Ron's still in Texas, if I remember correctly.
All right, very good. Well, good luck to you, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next week we are going to tap the keg.
I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah. So we've for those that are new to this, we cast our own whiskey. So we blended our own. We started off with some Glenmorangie, and then added some other unique ones along the way. Cardew we put in there. We put in Lafroig. No, it was an Ardbeg, I think.
Maybe
it was an Ardbeg. Yeah, we put a little bit of Islay in there.
Actually, I think it was Lafroig Select.
Oh, maybe it was the Lafroig.
I think it was.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right. We put in some Johnny Walker. There was So we mixed up a pretty nice blend.
Yeah, it's all Scotch of some sort, though.
Absolutely.
Some of them were blended malt, some of them were blends, some of them were single malt, but it's all Scotch of some sort.
Absolutely. And we brought in some sherry influence in there. We put in some smoky peaty ones from Islay in order to give us a nice rounded flavor palette.
Mm-hmm.
So I poured a bottle that I brought up to Indiana for Henry, and we tasted it up there, and it's ready.
Yeah.
It's just ready. That is one of the most amazing whiskeys I've ever tasted. I can't wait for you to taste it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I know the last time I tried it, I was really impressed with how smooth it was, but it still had a lot of complexity. You could still pick up on all the different flavors that were put into it. Something about putting it into a barrel makes all the difference in the world, because I've done that in a bottle and it didn't turn out anywhere near as good. So there's something to be said for casking it.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to empty the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bottle it, and we're undecided what we're going to do with it. But some of it may end up going into your hands. So we're looking at the laws on that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to fill it again. This time with rye.
Yep. And we talked about mixing in a little bit of Scotch or something with malt in it to kind of offset it. Although, who knows? I mean, when it comes time to start pouring stuff into the cask, anything could happen. That's kind of what happened last time.
Well, we've been inspired by some of the whiskeys that have multiple grains as their mash bill, and man, we've been really, really excited. So we're going to make our own.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. Well, the interesting thing is, you see the wheated bourbons where they replace the rye component with wheat. Well, if we go with something that's heavy rye and start adding malt into it,
yes,
I think that's going to be interesting, because you get the spicy note that you get with the rye, and then you're going to get the that malty kind of aspect from some of the other stuff. Might be interesting. So we're gonna try it out. So we may come up with something amazing or something that's a complete disaster. Yeah, could go either way.
It could go either way.
Hence, it's the cask of danger. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to bottling up what we've got in there currently.
Very good. All right, so we'll do that next week, and and we'll probably be tasting something, because that's what we do.
Have to.
Yeah, we kind of have to.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, this was a fun night.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun night. It's been nice to go back to Islay.
Yep, and hope you guys were inspired.
Yes.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.